I rise to appeal the ruling of the chair. The proposed amendment is germane because the bill at hand relates to firearms regulations, and the proposed amendment makes changes to the laws to ensure that those who illegally possess and use firearms face serious criminal consequences. Madam President, I offer, if this body is truly interested in protecting the people of this state, if we truly want to address the violent crime and gun violence plaguing our communities and ripping apart innocent families, there are several steps we must take, and these steps are covered in the amendment I put forward. First, we must make crimes involving the illegal use and possession of firearms bail eligible. We must stop coddling criminals by passing legislation that creates a pro-criminal environment and ties the hands of law enforcement and our elected judges, like bail and discovery reforms, clean slate, less is more, the HALT Act. Instead, we need to reverse course and strengthen the penalties for the illegal use and possession of firearms. And we must hold minors accountable for gun violence by requiring them to be tried in adult court. The people who elected us, they placed their trust in us. They expect us to be leaders who prioritize public safety. They want us, now I take that back, they're begging us to set aside partisan politics and protect their families by passing meaningful legislation that will stop the horrific gun violence. The amendment I have before you is reasonable. It is responsible, and it will allow us to truly tackle illegal gun crimes by increasing penalties and keeping those who illegally use firearms behind bars, where they cannot hurt more innocent victims. I hear it all the time, and I'm sure so many of you do too, whether it's calls to the office, whether you're stopped in the grocery store. Heck, I was even walking in a parade and got pulled aside. People are afraid. They don't want those who commit violent crimes roaming the streets while waiting for trial because law enforcement and judges are limited by state laws to impose pretrial detention. The bill before us does not fix this problem. The bill before us will not in any way stop or intimidate criminals. Let's face it, criminals are not rule followers. Criminals are not going to follow the requirements outlined in this bill. They're not going to apply for a firearms permit to carry. They're not going to apply for permits to purchase ammunition. But under this bill, what they may do is target and terrorize the locations where firearms are banned under this legislation. The truth is, the only people who will be impacted by the bill before us are people who follow rules. This bill will make it more difficult for law-abiding citizens to legally carry concealed firearms for protection. Protection which many of my constituents, and I'm sure many of your constituents, feel is needed more now than ever before. Again, I stress the bill the majority members have crafted and put before us today will do nothing, absolutely nothing, to prevent gun violence or the illegal possession of firearms. It will only punish our constituents who wish to exercise their constitutional right, a right reaffirmed by the Supreme Court to publicly carry a concealed firearm for self-defense. Criminals who illegally possess and use firearms, including 16 and 17-year-olds, must be brought to court. Under the current system, it's far too difficult to prosecute 16 and 17-year-olds who have violated use and possession gun laws. The amendment I have brought forward on behalf of our Republican conference has been proposed and supported by law enforcement. It's been supported by New York City Mayor Eric Adams. We all agree it's time to get tough on those who harm our communities. We won't protect our communities and neighborhoods by passing the bill before us and further infringing on the rights of law-abiding citizens by taking away their constitutional rights. We protect our communities by increasing the penalties for those who break the laws. My amendment does just that. I urge my colleagues in the majority to break from party line voting. Vote yes to move this amendment forward, and let's work together to end gun violence. Madam President, for these reasons and many others, I urge you to reconsider your ruling.